And that is like, we can't fix the skill level. We can't fix the physicality and the fact that these guys are bigger, faster, stronger, better than ever before. So we got to do something. And the golf ball is the low-hanging fruit, and that's just how it is. Like that, I could at least have some respect for. But to say, look, we know it's, the equipment's playing a very small role in this, but we're doing it anyway. Like that's, or kind of this is, a conversation that is not out in the public or well known.
Yeah.
It's just like, we're just going to say it's the ball, it's the ball, it's the ball. It's not the fucking ball.
Feel better?
Good. Good.
What's up, everybody? How you living? No Putts Given. Tony and Chris back at it. It's just another manic day in February, the shoulder season, if you will, somewhere caught in between club launches, club releases, and some sort of beginning of the season for those of us, in roughly that 40-degree north latitude position and more northern. Not outside yet. But
it was -8 when I got up this morning, so I feel like that's a frost delay.
Yeah,
that's like a 3-month frost delay.
It looked a lot nicer in Phoenix last week. Scottsdale. Wouldn't know. Looked decent. Connor was there. Not sure what Connor was doing there, but Connor was there.
Connor did things. I don't know. Connor does what Connor does.
Connor does what Connor does. Before we get too far into this, thank you to our friends at Golf Galaxy. They are powering this particular episode of this podcast, Tony.
Sweet.
The people at Golf Galaxy.
I have a Dick's Sporting Goods near me. I do not have a Golf Galaxy in my vicinity. I feel deprived. I don't know who to speak to about these things, but we should get one.
Two things I'm kind of interested about Golf Galaxy. I know they've revamped some of their fitting stuff. Do you know anybody that's done a fitting at a Golf Galaxy yet? I don't either.
Recently.
But I know that's something they're trying to get going again. We'll see. The one I am kind of intrigued about there is I know that they have the fitting software for SM11. The one that I remember when we saw kind of that very, very beta version of it, and then the other versions of it.
The very cleverly named Vokey Wedge Fitting app.
If you will. Yeah. So I guess here's my right on the nose. Quick question about that fitting app, Tony. Like, so you can head over to Golf Galaxy, you can do the fitting app there. Some of our listeners and watchers, they're going to say this. They're going to go, what are you doing getting fit for wedges indoors? What? I thought you guys always talk about how bounce and grind and all these things are so important and turf interaction and blah, 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 blah. And you're telling me that Vokey's fitting app indoors is a decent idea? Is that what we're saying?
We are, yeah.
I mean,
look, we said it before, right? If you can, go get fit outdoors. TPI is a hell of a place to do a wedge fitting again. I know.
Wonderful.
I know that is a privilege, but I mean, there are things that can be discerned from delivery, things like attack angle, even where you're making impact on the club face, that will help steer you towards the right grind, even in an indoor environment. You'll see differences, so worth exploring. And some of it too is just stepping through that the questionnaire, right? Asking about the type of shots you need to hit and the conditions in which you play, because that helps narrow the list of grinds that could be ideal for your unique situation.
Yeah. I was going to say the thing I thought about with that, why it does work indoors, really, really well, is a good part of any of these fitting protocols. And we're actually going to head down to Mizuno here in a couple weeks too and check out their...
And also a Golf Galaxy, as it turns out.
And also apparently Golf Galaxy on the way home. Yeah. as well. But part of fitting is eliminating wrong answers, right? And so if you can eliminate, you look at like the Vokey Matrix, right? Like there are a tremendous number of bounce, loft, grind combinations. And if you can just eliminate a lot of wrong answers, you're going to be left with a lot of right answers. Now, the degree to which they're right, is it a 98% right answer? Is it 100%? Is it 92%? It's going to be a lot closer than just going pick something off the rack. Oh, that D grind looks good.
This one's in the middle.
Yeah. Whatever. So anyway, we got that going on. Is there an OEM off to a better start this year than Bridgestone?
What a
Yes or no?
weird thing to say, right? But yes,
Mhm.
or no, there isn't one. Yes, they
But
are
yes.
the one. There is not one. Yeah.
But is there?
What
I
you are
mean,
applying is correct, and no, there isn't a hotter OE. How's that?
I mean, it's kind of it made me think of Super Bowl a little bit. You know how you can wager on different things like how bad is the game going to be? Terrible. Are the Patriots going to get more punts or more first downs by halftime? More punt, those kind of things. But you know how you can bet on like first touchdown of the game, right? Could be a lot of people, whatever. If that were a prop bet, I kind of feel like Bridgestone has scored the first touchdown, if you will, of the PGA Tour season from an equipment standpoint. And I'm not sure many people would have had them in there as their pick for like the OEM first big score of the year. I'm giving it to Bridgestone. Gonna.
Yeah, I mean we're early. we are we are
Mm-hmm.
very early in the season, but if you believe in golf ball wars for reasons that extend beyond paint and lawsuits related to how you show paint on a golf ball,
Mm-hmm.
like Bridgestone is off to as good a start as you could have hoped for. So, and again, it's Chris Gotterup, and that's an interesting point as well, where
Yeah.
Bridgestone doesn't have a lot of guys out there.
No.
Not a lot. So I mean, right? Jason Day, Chris Gotterup, like Tiger Woods. I think I don't even think we're going to have the conversation this year. The annual, is he going to play in the Masters? Is he not? Like, I think it's a
No.
foregone.
Is he going to play ever again? Is he going to play Champions
Yeah.
Tour? Maybe?
So it's
But, yeah.
it's nice that they can say Tiger Woods is on their list of brand ambassadors, but
Mm-hmm.
he's not going to rack up any tour wins for him this year. So
No.
Chris Gotterup, both of them, right? Jason
Mm-hmm.
Day, feel like he could win at any time, but just the fact that Chris Gotterup's doing it with a new ball, and so in a year where, all right, second year Pro V1,
Mm-hmm.
but new left ash we know is not a ball that is played in any significant numbers on tour, right? It's a niche ball
Right.
within the
Right.
market, both on your shelves at Golf Galaxy and on tour.
Right. Thank you, Golf Galaxy.
You've new Chrome Tour, and we haven't heard. Again, it's probably going to win eventually, but it
Of course it
certainly
will. Yeah.
there aren't two wins with a Chrome Tour this year.
Not yet. Nope.
TP5, there aren't. Nelly Corda, cool. All right,
Mm-hmm.
LPGA still counts. Got
Mm-hmm.
one,
Mm-hmm.
but it's no disrespect to anybody, but LPGA does not garner the same attention as the PGA Tour, and wins aren't treated with the same significance, and whether or not that's fair is a different conversation. But in the golf ball space right now, Bridgestone has some early momentum,
Yeah.
and probably caused at least some people to be curious and go buy the ball, because again, unlike a driver, where your barrier to entry is now $650 to $700 in most cases. Doesn't Bridgestone's $55?
Yeah.
It's not
And
cheap, but it's affordable enough within the golf world. So good for Bridgestone.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's roughly 35 PGA Tour events throughout a season where, a handful of that in. So yeah, it's the first drive more or less in the first quarter, and Bridgestone went down and scored. So, good for them. I think, again, another piece that's intriguing to me, they're the only one that's really jumping into these ball speed claims, putting specific numbers on performance attributes. And so, again,
Some of them are
enough to be.
big, borderline, unbelievable, but
Mhm. But again, if I'm a consumer, right, which I am, and I'm coupling these things together, right, and Bridgestone's, I guarantee you they would be thrilled with this. It's just people to be intrigued, like you said, to go say, hey, I'll wager $50 or whatever it is to give these a run, and let's see what happens. And so, a couple wins early, ball speed claims. Is that enough to get people excited early in the season when they do maybe test out different golf balls? Or, no doubt, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of these unit sale type promotional events coming up where it's the, buy 3 get 1 free. It's the, hey, stock up early and save kind of ideas. Is that going to incentivize people to try it? I'm going to be shocked if they don't.
Well, and I
If
mean,
that's not in there.
it's kind of a wait and see again. One of the interesting points, right? I mentioned Bridgestone does not have a huge staff, and so
Right.
it's always tricky trying to reconcile like what tour success can be traced to equipment in any meaningful way, and what is simply a function of a guy getting hot, going on a heater of some kind right now.
Right.
So right now, Chris Gotterup is hot.
Mm-hmm.
If we get into, so what do we got? Like looking at the schedule, we got AT&T, Pebble, so we're at Pebble. So people are going to watch at Pebble. Genesis usually gets some eyeballs. I am now cognizant of the fact that it's no longer the Honda, so we got that coming up. Arnold Palmer. So I mean, we've got, and then all right, Puerto Rico Open the same week as the Arnold Palmer. Who cares?
Is that in the U.S.? Part of the Puerto Rico? Is that
apparently? And then
yeah.
And then we have the Players, right? The first unofficial major of the golf season. And so like if Bridgestone can pick up a win along another one in that stretch, becomes a compelling story. But like I said, I think TaylorMade will eventually hit the board on the PGA Tour. Callaway will probably hit the board on the PGA Tour, and again, just strengthen numbers.
Yep.
Vokey or Titleist golf ball, one of the two is, wins somewhere every week, it feels like.
There's just so many. Yeah, it's
but
always
Bridgestone can build the momentum, and I think it really is. Look, I love Left Dash, right? Like so I'm super excited about a new Left Dash, but otherwise, like I think Bridgestone has a really compelling story, kind of as much of a reason to try a golf ball as you're going to find, where TaylorMade and Callaway, well, both have kind of the requisite speed stories. Feels like it's turned into a little bit of a slap fight over paint, and it kind of each one's story diminished by the other.
I still got my can.
So, yeah, that's right.
I'm still ready to go, just in case we need to break that out.
Fill that up with TP5s, and we've got something. Yeah, so yeah, if I'm Bridgestone, I'm super excited about where I am right now, exceeding expectations on tour, and if it gives somebody a reason to try the Tour BX in particular, which again I think is certainly the crown jewel of that lineup, very underappreciated golf ball. So hey, make of it what you will, but I'd
quick run through his bag, because this is going to lead to our next topic a little bit. 440 LST pin guy in the driver, mini driver. He's got the original burner mini copper going that way. 5 wood QI 35. So it's like, okay, TaylorMade fairway woods. Not at all surprising to see those in the bag of any touring pro. 4 through 9 iron, 220 MB, KBS C taper 130X.
I mean, this guy's he's got to be
he is a Hulk.
Half Clydesdale. I mean, 70 TX in the driver, 80 TX, 83 TX in the 5 wood. So, it's still 80 gram. And like you said, 130X. Like, my shoulders hurt just walking through this list here. So
I know. It makes me... It has a little throwback to J.B. Holmes a little bit to me. I don't know why. I just feel some similarities there. And then here's a bit of an anomaly in the wedge space, going with TaylorMade MG5s. Not an anomaly in the sense that...
4 of them.
Yeah, not the fact that he's playing tennis or whatever. It's that, again, we know how much Vokey dominates, particularly the non-compensated portion of the what's in the bag deal. So very interesting. And again,
I'm looking at his spider putter too, and it's like lead tape, looks like duct tape residue on the bottom. Like
it's awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Love it. Love a sloppy tour guy.
So. That's for you to enjoy. Mini driver. It's in his bag. We're seeing him show up more and more and more. It's more than a fad in the sense that it may never become a huge part of the market, and I wouldn't suspect that it would, but as we see more brands come out with more products, it becomes more of a staple in the industry. And a little USGA report, Tony. What do we got?
Shocking, absolutely shocking. It appears that a Callaway Quantum Mini driver is on the way. No one could have possibly seen that coming.
Could have never seen that coming. I was hoping that maybe they might reduce the footprint a little bit, right? The previous one was 340, which for me,
right?
yeah,
Is it
which
340, 350?
well, they called it 340. It was called the 340 last time, so I was assuming it was close to 340 cc's on the previous one. But regardless, we've seen this kind of sweet spot, at least for me. And again, I get it. Camber, construction, face height, overall mass properties, all of that stuff plays a role. It's hard for me to look down at 330, 340, 350 cc's and go, I can hit that off the deck. And for me to have a mini driver in the bag, I have to be able to hit it off the deck. Not a lot, but when I need to, I got to be able to hit
once,
it.
maybe twice around, right? Like that's just when everything comes together, right? When you need the distance and the ball is sitting up nice, maybe even slightly above your feet, something just not downhill, not below your feet, none of that. That's asking for trouble for a lot of us. But yeah, and that was my issue. In the beginning of last season, I took everything out on the golf course, kind of rotated them, and it was I kind of like I like the PXG fine. Like I'm nothing bad to say about it. It just for me, I was kind of going back and forth between the Titleist and the TaylorMade, and I to the point I kind of threw the Callaway out of the consideration set pretty quickly because it was big, right? It's noticeably larger, and I will say they've done good work on the sole shaping, so for the size of it, it does get out of its own way a little bit, but it's comparing that to looking down at the GT280, for example, or even the TaylorMade and the PXG hovering right around 300. Those feel like you can hit them off the fairway. Right? Like it's not like hitting a 3-wood, right? It's not like no problem, whatever. But the Callaway, I think it's big, and to their credit or otherwise, their position is like, look, this is designed as a driver replacement, an option off the tee.
Right.
Fairway isn't that much of a consideration in the design, so it's a fundamentally different approach than some of the others. And if you are simply looking for something to hit off the tee, I think Quantum, if it proves to be in that 340 range again, is going to be solid for that. I don't know that necessarily if you're in love with the GT280, for example, I don't know that you're going to look at a 340 and go, maybe this instead.
Yeah.
But again, like that's to an extent the beauty of the category is you have such a range in what it could be. There's room for you could conceivably go smaller than 280 and still be in the mini category. You could conceivably, I wouldn't recommend it, go bigger than 340. So there's a range, and I'm really interested to see. I don't know if it's even fair to say who's going to be first. It's because I don't know that it's going to happen. But this idea of like, why do you need to just have just one? Like maybe you have a 280 and a 340 in the lineup.
A big mini and a mini.
Right, diversify the niche category further for my amusement, please.
I mean,
that's
but we kind of saw that with hybrids over time. Now, again, I would argue far more functional for the masses than a mini driver. But originally, like go back to like the TaylorMade Rescue, right? And that kind of became the thing in the category. And it was this rescue club. But then over time, we saw that evolve to things that were much more iron-like replacements. The old, right? You kind of think the old like boxer stuff and the Adams, those really kind of very square-toed peanut.
It had everything from like the peanut-sized iron-like shaping to what is now kind of become like the super hybrid category, right? These
utility wood.
They're
right?
just kind of small fairway woods, really. So, like you said, I don't know if there's necessarily the demand there yet, but I'd like to see it. I'm all for it.
Right. Before we get into more equipment stuff, what do you make of Brandl's opinion, I guess, that the players, I'm talking tournaments here, right? That the Players Championship isn't just worthy of being a major, but like being the major. Like it would not only go from not part of the top four to the absolute top of the list. Like, is this just Brandel like engagement farming and trying to be hyperbolic to get views, or do you think he really believes what he's saying, or are those one and the same thing?
In a world without live, there's a case to be made on strength of field, because that's always been the selling point of the players, right?
Right.
The strength of field argument.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can make that same argument without John Rahm, without Bryson DeChambeau,
Yep.
without even Patrick Reed, dare I say, who seems to be on this image rebuilding
Heater,
tour.
and he's on a heater.
Yeah, and I kind of look at him like, Jesus, this guy's kind of making sense. I don't know what to make of it.
Mm-hmm.
So in a pre-live world, you could make that case, and it's still a very strong field, right? We're just talking about 3 or 4 guys that you would really like to see.
Right.
But those are 3 or 4 guys you can see at Augusta.
Mm-hmm.
You probably see them in the Open Championship and the U.S. Open, which are, in any given year, those to me are the most interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Typically because over in England, Scotland, and where those tournaments are held, you get the type of courses many of us here don't experience or don't even get to see very often.
Mm-hmm.
Augusta obviously is just Augusta, so put it in its own category. The U.S. Open, we get very difficult, challenging setups.
Mm-hmm.
We get PGA tours whining, right? The players cry about it.
Right.
With the Players Championship, you get a really good field on an otherwise mediocre golf course. Just, like, okay, 17 is cool to watch, but also gimmicky. That's not
memorable, but not.
But it's I don't think anybody's going to argue that is a masterpiece in golf architecture, right? Like it's one of those courses you would play because you've seen it on TV, but I don't know that it's kind of like a true bucket list experience for many, especially at what Sawgrass is charging these days. But so I think, again, to sum it up, like on strength of field before live, you can make an argument in the world as it exists today. I think, look, Augusta's always the Masters is always going to get the ratings and the numbers. It's going to be the most watched.
Yep.
Like I said, give me the Open Championship or the U.S. Open as the stuff that I'm inclined to watch.
Yep.
Certainly more than I would ever be inclined to tune into the Players. And the PGA Championship is a thing that happens.
It also is an event, and
I can confirm it is a major that exists.
It's, and we were talking about this a little bit too. Like when you think about just the kind of more from a macro perspective, right? The world of golf, professional golf specifically, there's some bizarre juxtapositions, dynamics going on where you have, we were having this debate. I like to watch tournament golf. I think every tournament's important to somebody, and I love those stories.
If you win it, you bet, right?
Yeah. But I also get, as far as the world is concerned, there's arguably 4, maybe 5, you can even argue 6 golf events a year that the quote-unquote world, or more than just your hardcore golf audience, is either going to watch or be influenced by or know is kind of going on. Of those, it's also arguable that the PGA Tour, which we hold as the pinnacle of professional golf in terms of if you are a professional golfer, the tour you are trying to get to, save for live and all those debates separately, historically speaking, PGA Tour is the absolute top of that pyramid. But when you look at the top 5, 6 golf events throughout a year, they arguably don't have any in the top 4. They don't have any in the top 4. They may not have any in the top 5 if it's a Ryder Cup here.
So you can make the case, right? Like There's probably a golf histories mysteries article in Barba to go through and explain exactly how everything became a major. And like
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm guessing there's not like a formal process where you convene a bunch of people and you take a vote and everybody comes to an agreement and you just declare it a major. But I think what you're driving at, like it would kind of be nice just on principle, I guess, if the PGA Tour had a major that was its own. Because again, right, like you said, Open Championship, RNA,
Yep.
U.S. Open, USGA,
Yep.
Augusta's its own thing.
Yep.
And then
PGA also happens.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not, and it doesn't happen because of the PGA Tour. Like they don't get that one either. So it's interesting. You could argue like a major is defined by being one of the 4 best events, not directly on the PGA Tour.
Uh-huh. And again,
so I guess that disqualifies the players.
And again, I think depending on the players that you were to ask, if you say, hey, would you rather be on the winning side of a Ryder Cup team? Let's say it's a Ryder Cup year. I know this year isn't. It's President's Cup year. But Ryder Cup year, would you rather individually win the players if you're eligible in play? Would you rather be guaranteed a win at the players or to be on the winning side of the Ryder Cup team? I don't think you'd get 100% of any segment that would say, give me the players. I think there's some that would say they'd rather win the Ryder Cup than the players.
I think there's probably some who would lie and say they'd rather win the Ryder Cup, but they would appreciate the money that comes from winning the players. So,
yeah,
it's a balancing act. But yeah, big picture, I think you're probably right. I think winning a Ryder Cup is probably more prestigious. I don't know though. I'm not a professional golfer. I don't make that kind of money.
I don't claim to be. I don't claim to be. But like I said, how does it become a major anyway? We just convene a bunch of people in the Vatican going to
That's right.
going to wait for some smoke to come out and say, hey, we got one. Well, we can do that too. But
turns out it's the Zurich Classic.
Nobody
saw it coming.
That's the one that'll do it. There's some confusion out there, Tony, about. I mean, we saw this at the PGA show. We've heard more as we've seen kind of things come out. Launch monitors, personal launch monitors. Let's just clarify some things for some people, because I know there's a lot of misinformation going around out there and kind of what's happening. Let's start with this. The difference between a radar-based unit and a camera-based unit. What's the difference?
I mean, very simply, right? The camera-based units capture data at impact or shortly thereafter, and then use algorithms to calculate things like distance. And I guess the fine print too is that it is normalized unless otherwise specified. So there are some things within Foresight now where you can go in and actually tell it which golf ball you're using, which does make a difference. But, broad strokes here, you get all of that, and then an algorithm is used, typically normalized to a single golf ball model, which I would wager is a Pro V1 from some generation past.
Right.
And so, like if all right, I know my ball speed, I know my launch angle, I know my spin rate, I know how far my axis is tilted, and I know the starting direction in degrees of that golf ball. Mm-hmm. And from that, you can extrapolate what I would describe as a weather normalized result.
Sure.
With radar, it's interesting. You kind of wonder because it's, we've seen some things where very little, like swing speed to an extent is measured, attack angle. These things are measured at impact, obviously, because, that's when they happen. Ball speed, that kind of thing. Is captured pretty early in flight, and the rest is trying to use the flight of the golf ball to an extent, back calculate a little bit to explain what happened. Spin, certainly curvature. It's like, well, we know where it started, and we know where it ended up, and so we're going to use some math to figure out how it got there. So there's math involved in both. Contrary to popular belief, I think even TrackMan, which is an absolutely outstanding launch monitor, right? Best in class radar system, no argument for me, does not track the full flight of a golf ball.
What? But the name's TrackMan, Tony.
I mean, you'll see, right? It's yes, if it tracked the full flight, right? TrackMan wouldn't, or TaylorMade wouldn't have needed to build a range that had multiple of them stacked every step of the way. Same thing. Callaway has a similar system where you're taking measurements at multiple points in the flight because that's what it takes, even with a radar system. There is a point. It's interesting, right? There is an actual value in the TrackMan system called last data point. Just like, all right, well, this is the last thing we captured, and it's not always kind of right at that ground plane, if you will, and that's the other thing, right? It measures to a ground plane.
Right.
So if there's always, everything uses math. That's the takeaway. And TrackMan's math is really good, and Foresight's math is really good. Every algorithm has a hole here or there for sure. We've seen some things with both systems. I mean, the best case example, ball test before last, right? Where we were standing out, balls landing 300 yards, TrackMan reporting them 280, 285.
Yep.
And again,
last data point.
Yeah, right. And again, like it's going to work well with the majority of call it golf balls, because that's what we're testing on the market. But if you have flight that is unusual, right? There's always kind of an expectation, call it a window. And when kind of things escape the window, it gets a little dicey no matter what you're using.
They escape.
So yeah, I mean, both systems are great in the proper environment. Where radar gets dicey is in limited flights. We talked about this before, right? You need to see enough rotation of the ball to get a spin number. That's where RCT came from. But every radar-based system still struggles to capture spin axis accurately in a limited flight environment. And again, I would say, we heard for years, right? TrackMan is as good as anything indoors. And then it was like, well, here's the RCT ball to fix the problem. Maybe it wasn't quite as good. Oh, by the way, here's our new IO system, which is camera-based because
we know it's better, So
I mean, people ask me about it all the time, and it's always, you always have to ask about the specific situation you're in. Like, all right, how are you going to use it? What's your environment? I recently helped out. We did a simulator project at my home course.
Okay.
And so, the owner's not super familiar with launch monitors. So he'd heard of TrackMan, obviously. He was curious about other things. And, I kind of explained it to him. It was like, look, it's sort of the difference between, it's like asking which is better, a miter saw or a table saw.
Right.
Like, well, they both cut wood. And it's like, well,
but for
what is
purpose?
your specific task? What is, how is this going to be used? Like, what is it you are actually trying to achieve? Give me kind of, the more information you have, the more it becomes clear which system is going to be a better choice. And so and make of that what you will. But I think for most golfers, they're going to be better off with a camera-based system, because more often than not, they're going to be used in limited flight environments. And kind of the dirty little secret of smaller radar-based units is they don't see nearly the extent of the ball flight that a full-size TrackMan or even a full-size flight scope is going to see, right? It's essentially, it's like using a TrackMan in a limited flight environment is really what you're doing.
Is what you're doing,
You're not getting that full flight regardless. And so I think for most golfers, a camera-based system is going to make more sense. I think like Rapsodo, for example, where, if you are going to use radar in a limited flight environment, then it makes sense to have some type of hybrid model like the Rapsodo, where it's like, well, we know these little radar chips aren't going to get spin, so we're going to use the cameras for that. So it's again, but it's what are you trying to achieve? What is important to you? For some guys, it's like, all right, what are the gameplay features? That's all I give a shit about. Like, I'll give up some accuracy if I get cool graphics and fun games. So,
or I just want something that's, like I said, for me, you kind of go from like directional information to absolute. And, I think about directional information as like general information, right? Where, And we see it all the time with people that are warming up before a round and they're hitting range balls and they're caring about like the distance, or okay, well that flag's at 128 or that one's at 150. Oh, that landed a couple yards short or whatever. And they're not considering the fact that that range ball isn't one that they played or play. It may be months old, it may be chipped, it may be perfect condition, it may not be. Who knows, right? And so you're really trying to get directional information. Am I kind of hitting it where I want? How does it feel? How's it coming out, etc.? These ones that are $200, $300, $400, like we're seeing, like the shot scope, like LM1, some of those, I think those are going to be directional units where it's going to give you reasonably good information. And again, I don't know what that number is in terms of like relative accuracy to something like a quad or a TrackMan, but I think it's going to give you good enough information to be directional of like, hey, I hit my pitching wedge. This one's saying it's going 135, 135, 135. Okay, I hit my 9-iron and it goes, I don't think it's going to say it's going to go 175. Like, I don't think, I think you could practice, and get good, meaningful results out of that. It may not be specifically exactly the same number you're going to see on the course. In fact, probably not, but I don't think it's going to be off by like a club. It might be a couple yards.
Yeah, again, right. We've talked about this before. I don't like the phrase, but the reality is every golfer has a point at which they will describe something as accurate enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the extension of that probably is accurate enough for the money, because money is always a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're trying to say, hey, what is the absolute best? Again, right? It depends on the situation. Obviously, even best for your budget depends on the
Mm-hmm.
specifics of your situation. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
at the enterprise level, right, you will see, there was Greg Chalmers posted last week one of our charts, and there was a back and forth, somehow devolved into a launch monitor discussion with the TrackMan guys, TrackMan fans go, oh, TrackMan, blah blah blah, and some of that back and forth, and all I'd say, right, again, going back to the point of it being very purpose driven,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that every system has strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
I think if you did a strict count on the PGA Tour in any given event, you would probably see a few more foresights than TrackMan, because again, a lot of what you see with TrackMan, if you don't normalize, and you can, but a lot of what you see is environmental, and that's important. Certainly, it's why we use it for a ball test. We want to capture that environmental thing, but
Sure.
ball speed, spin, like that's ball speed, launch, spin. Those are kind of the key things.
Mm-hmm.
But more to the point, what you see more of than anything else
It's both.
is a TrackMan on the side,
Uh-huh.
or excuse me, a TrackMan in the back and a foresight on the side, and they're using both.
Yep.
Because again, each has strengths, each has weaknesses, and if you want the absolute best launch monitor you can get, it turns out you
That's probably it.
need both technologies. So make of it what you will. But yeah, if you're going to spend the money, really take the time, not just to think about what gets great reviews or things like that, but really kind of how are you going to use it, where are you going to put it, and what's going to work best in that environment, ... for the money.
Yeah, there's going to be stuff coming out this year, teeing up some conversations around, like you said, good enough, accurate enough. Like, what is that trade-off between cost and accuracy? If, let's say, right, we have our enterprise gold standard. If I could save you $10,000 but maintain 98% accuracy, is that a trade-off you're into? Maybe, maybe not. Like, we can go into that once we start getting some more things out. But I want to spend a little bit of time on something that Lou Stagnar posted this last week, because it was very well articulated. I think it was very well researched, which, if you know Lou, shouldn't be any surprise. He tends to be pretty thorough with that stuff. We're talking golf ball rollback. And this is sure to get the masses fired up. But basically, and we're going to kind of go point by point a little bit of what Lou says here. Effectively, if I'm reading this correctly and understanding Lou's a reasonable conclusion that I think anybody would draw based on reading what he wrote, is that the proposed rollback isn't actually a justifiable conclusion based on the ruling body's own information.
Yeah, and
It's
I
an
would say like Lou and I have been. I mean, how long ago was this rollback announced? And Lou and
right,
I have been talking about it pretty much off and on since day one. And I can tell you, like he's literally, and there are a lot of them. He has literally read every document the USGA has published about it, and gone through kind of with a fine tooth virtual comb of sorts, and is just I would describe it summarizing as like he's just found a lot of inconsistencies
mm-hmm,
and contradictions where like it's to the point where like it says one thing in one report and kind of argues with itself in another.
right,
And so again, it I've always felt right. It's the golf ball has been the justification to try and reduce distance, but it's not the source, not the biggest source, not the only source. It's kind of been the low hanging fruit. Like what's the easiest thing we can go after?
mm-hmm,
And it makes sense, right? Well, you can go after drivers,
sure,
and you could probably rein that in, but when you put it in the perspective of the average golfer, like just walk down, like even in like my Tuesday night league, right? Like just walk down the row of carts and look at the drivers in there, 10 plus years old. It's going to take a lot of time to clean all of those drivers out, right, and get them out of play.
mm-hmm,
Golf balls, consumables, right? Like
yeah,
they disappear. Most of them, like a lot of guys have stockpiles because they keep getting shit for Christmas, but
mm-hmm,
it's the easiest way to address a distance problem. The irony being like their own data, some of the reports, if you kind of really go through it as Lou has, and he asserts like the suggestion from their own documents is that there isn't actually a distance problem and they know it, or at least not one directly attributable to a golf ball.
Point number one. Point number one that he points out here, and I'll quote this. It says, let that sink in. The governing body's own, quote, best measure, unquote, of the value of distance, and this is where he gets into intrinsic value and realized value, but basically, how do you value a yard? Because the premise is that distances become too valuable, right? By their own measure, their own best math proves that it's worth less than it was in 2004. Doesn't that kind of nullify the entire argument that a rollback is even necessary? They're saying the value of distance now is less than it was previously, but people are saying, oh, it's out of control. It's all bomb and gouge. Guys are doing da-da-da-da-da-da. Where is this stuff coming from?
Yeah, well, let me first say, right, it is like it's all in there, and I would encourage you to track down Lou's thread because it's very interesting, very insightful. But one of the things that when I started running math, fairly early on, and I was again texting Lou, was like, "Hey man, do I have this right? Does this math check out?" And again, it's this whole idea of like distance is too much of a part of the game. The current golf ball, right? That's kind of what we're talking about, rewards longer hitters disproportionately.
Right.
And then you start actually crunching the numbers from a strokes gain perspective and go, all right, well, what happens if we roll back the golf ball based on what we know about proposed specs and how much the USGA says you're going to lose or tour players are likely to lose from a distance perspective. And that math very clearly shows that what you do is increase the advantage for longer hitters from a strokes gain perspective.
Yeah.
So
it makes it better.
So if you're saying that the current state of the rules, if you will, disproportionately favors longer hitters, the rollback only serves to increase that advantage.
It's going to make it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's something else. Again, I did not know. There's a couple things, in his post that I was aware of and said, okay, yeah, that tracks. I've heard that before. I've seen that before. Yep. Good reminder. That course setups have gotten easier. So the way that the PGA Tour specifically has set up courses have encouraged players to go and put more of an emphasis on distance.
So anybody who plays golf fundamentally, especially off the tee, understands risk versus reward, right? Like if you're
Right.
on a narrow driving hole with OB right and water left, you're probably not going to step into it, rip a driver with everything you have. Right? The reward does not justify the risk. But kind of looking, the specific data that Lou shared was around rough, right? And rough at the tour level should be penal, right? Like there should be punishments for rough. But looking at it, and the data Lou has is from 2004 or 2004 to 2018, and in that year, the average rough height on the PGA Tour has decreased by an inch between 2004 and 2018. An entire inch of reduced rough height. So, first of all, we've talked about it before. Like if you just want to reduce distance, talked about growing grass, right? We see balls roll forever on fairways as it is,
Right.
but also, right, even taller rough. Not only does the ball not bounce and roll as far in taller rough, but obviously we all know hitting out of rough is more difficult, and so the preference is to not be in it. But if you've significantly reduced that penalty, and I would argue that, going from an average rough height of 2.3 inches or 3.3 inches in 2004 to 2.3 inches in 2018, and I would assume we're probably there or there still, certainly hasn't increased. You have made the rough significantly less penal. You have removed a significant portion of the risk. You have encouraged golfers to try and hit it as far as they possibly can because you've reduced that penalty. And Lou actually discussed the strokes gain penalty as well. And as you would expect, yes, the penalty for missing the rough has been reduced.
Yeah.
Or missing in the rough has been reduced due to that decrease in rough height.
Point number 3 or 2 or 4, I don't know which point this was. There's this idea, right? It's the bomb and gouge, right? That players are, that's what it is. It's driver wedge, driver wedge, driver wedge, driver wedge.
That one irks me because it's been disproven time and time again. It's like, oh well, that's what I think I see.
It's patently false. There is no evidence that supports that. Not the least of which is that, again, these are the ruling bodies. Here's their own conclusion. Interpreted as longer hitters becoming better at the non-driving distance parts of the game, while accurate hitters, so think shorter, were becoming worse at the non-driving accuracy parts of the game. So in point of fact, their own conclusion, their own information is suggesting that the players that hit the ball the furthest were also the ones comparatively more improved in the other areas of the game. So they were hitting it longer, but they were getting better short irons, the artistry, right? Half shots, wedges, bunker play, putting, etc. Whereas just the opposite, the players who were already shorter were actually getting worse at those areas. But we have this fanciful idea that guys are hitting gutta perches and flighting the ball and hitting it, and the artistry of the game, whatever that is. And you have an interesting take on that I want to talk about in a second too. But again, why can't we just all deal with real information? Like, we are so far away from just real, actual data and information in this. Like I said, the USGA has proven on their own merit that the rollback isn't necessary.
Key takeaways, right? Distance is less valuable. Right now, distance is less valuable than it was.
Yep.
It's on the European tour, it's significantly less valuable than in the U.S., right? Even though, like, hey, that's they're
using
playing
the same
equipment.
Why?
I just think, like, hey, really good golfers, as training methods have improved, the guys who are naturally gifted, those sons of bitches, and then the guys that put in the work both on the fitting and the various disciplines of the game are just really good.
Yeah.
Just really good. And so you see it like, yeah, distance is a skill. And if you work hard on that skill, you're probably working hard on the other disciplines of the game as well. And he also has a quote here from John Spitzer, who's the managing director for equipment standards at the USGA. It says, But I can tell you for sure there is an upward trend in that data. You are correct that it's affected by many things. Now, if you're trying to say that this isn't a function of equipment, I would not disagree with you. Equipment plays a very small role in this. The increases that we see at the PGA Tour level are almost entirely due to the player himself. That's coming directly from the USGA. It kind of says like, yeah, all right, equipment is a small part of this. And we've said this before countless times. And I for fuck's sake, I wish they would just own it. Right. I would feel better. It's one of those things like if you just said it, I would feel a little bit better about it. I wouldn't like it, but at least I would feel like this is being approached with some real integrity. And that is like, we can't fix the skill level. We can't fix the physicality and the fact that these guys are bigger, faster, stronger, better than ever before. So fuck, we got to do something. And the golf ball is the low hanging fruit. And that's just how it is. Like that, I could at least have some respect for. But to say, look, we know it's, the equipment's playing a very small role in this, but we're doing it anyway. Like that's, or kind of this is, a conversation that is not out in the public or well known.
Yeah.
It's just like, we're just going to say it's the ball, it's the ball, it's the ball. It's not the fucking ball.
Or just say, the other thing I wish they would just admit, and I agree with you, is just say it's an optics thing. We don't like how it looks. We have, I'm talking about a super small group of highly influential people that have a vision of what they think golf should or shouldn't look like at the highest levels. And these things don't fit that picture. Now, why they get to decide what that picture looks like, different discussion. Should they be able to?
This is a 1/10 of a 1% problem. And I've said, look, it's about because for whatever reason, we've decided that winning minus under 20 under doesn't look like we want it to look. Or we have this fear that if we decide that we don't like what 20 under looks like to win a tournament, then the next step in that is, well, courses like St. Andrews have been absolutely obsoleted, right?
Right.
It is. This is all about protecting what is largely an arbitrary number for a very small portion of golfers, 1/10 of 1% or less, right? PGA Tour, up and coming guys who have the skill to maybe play on the tour, Korn Ferry, etc., on an exceedingly smaller number still of the golf courses in the world, right? We are making rules for an entire population of golfers, the majority of which who have never sniffed a distance problem, so that we can protect a few venues from a very few number of players.
Right.
Stupid.
Yeah. Like I said, just say you don't like the way it looks. We know that's why you got rid of anchoring putters, because you didn't like Ernie Els. You didn't like the way that looked visually. But somehow
thing, right?
it's, it's fine on Champions Tour.
It's not going to change the look of the game. Like the ball's still going to fly straight.
Right.
We're not going back to Bellot. I've said this before. The ball's still going to fly straight. It's just going to fly shorter. So if for whatever reason you think golf was more interesting when the ball curved more and that's what you want, you're shit out of luck. You are shit out of luck. It is never happening again unless the USGA looks at this rollback and go, well, that didn't accomplish what we want. And so now every ball has to have a minimum spin threshold, right? Like is that the next step when this doesn't go as expected? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And you brought up a very interesting point because, again, like I said, we tend to romanticize the past, right?
Golf was so beautiful.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Golfers worked the ball and curved it. And
the artistry. And
let me get my fucking paintbrush out to play my next round. Jesus.
Right. But part of the reason maybe there was these different ball flights are actually something we don't ever want to go back to and can't, because why, Tony?
Yeah,
what's your
funny,
hypothesis?
Right? We talk about, balls are faster. It's like golf balls are way better made than they used to be. And so there is an element of this romanticized Bellata thing that was the result of the fact that the quality standard doesn't come close to what it is today. Like, it was very difficult, like liquid centers, wound, like all that stuff, not super easy to center, not super easy to balance and get a great result. Like that's the whole story of how Titleist started, right? Like,
Right.
And like, look,
Right.
they've been that leader for years, and not everybody making balata. Most of what was made,
Right.
none of it matches the standard of today. And so, like, are you ultimately saying, if like, oh, I want to go back to when the ball curved, like, okay, but some of that came from the fact that the shit just wasn't centered. It was off balance. And so it's just a function of poor manufacturing. Like,
Well,
oh my God.
or it was as good as it could be at that time, but it's gotten better because of what we've
Like, is that what we want? Like,
progressed.
I want an element of randomness reintroduced.
Like I said,
like, come on.
Yeah, like I said, do you want to go race cars and maybe that tire's perfectly balanced, maybe it's not, maybe that axle is tight and well lubricated, maybe it's not. Was there more artistry in race car driving 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago because there weren't things that they could do as well as they can do now today? Or do you go, hey, I watch F1 now, or we watch these, and you appreciate all those advancements and things because of that? Or do you yearn for the days of
Your
steering
bring me back
column?
to your.
You know? Yeah, it's
I don't. Again, it's such a even, and you're not going to get me to the point where I go, oh yeah, distance is a real problem on the PGA Tour because oh my God, somebody shot fucking 22 under at St. Andrews. I don't give a shit.
right.
Whoever the guy with the lowest score still won. Like that that hasn't changed. That's the essence of golf. And so like again, let's just first admit, like, it's first and foremost, and I would probably even say it's about preserving St. Andrews and then also some other stuff. But like that's, to me, I think where this actually comes from. It's like we do have like these classic venues that we love, but you know what? If we get to the point where somebody goes, you know what? Well, it turns out that St. Andrews really isn't viable for a professional tour event again, I'm okay with that, because
So be it.
like there are a whole lot of other golfers for which it's still going to be a fantastic experience, and it is not diminished in the least if the tour never holds it, or and another major is never held there. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Couple final news and notes here. Just got these. We were talking about, just some kind of things in terms of tour usage stuff. I think you just got this note here as well.
Did
Chris
I just
Gotterup,
get a note?
yeah, maybe in a text. 3 of his wins have come since switching to the MG Proto MG 5 wedges.
I did just get a text.
See, told you. 3 of 4 winners this year. This is
Hi, Mike.
stuff. 3 of 4 winners this year on tour. So again, you want to talk about out of the gate fast. Played a spider. Again, I said it was the best putter last year that nobody talked about, and we're continuing that trend. All 4 winners PGA Tour events this year played multiple TaylorMade fairway woods.
Oh, if we could only get this, would be outstanding news for TaylorMade if we could just figure out how to get people to care about fairway woods. I know you're trying.
I'm trying.
Like, to the 10 of you who care about fairway woods, TaylorMade is on a heater.
They are.
They are such good fairway woods, though.
They're so good.
Joking aside, yeah.
10 of the top 12 at Waste Management, including the winner, that they cannot mention by name publicly, but we can. Chris Gotterup played at least
it has not changed from one sentence to the next, unlike last week.
Did not played a TaylorMade fairway. So TaylorMade, we're talking golf ball stuff. Bridgestone's off to a heater. Obviously, TaylorMade, great job. Wedge category, getting a couple wins early because they're in his bag, like I said, primarily, which is great. And fairway woods, again, we're expecting TaylorMade to dominate in fairway wood categories across tours. That won't be surprising to anybody if that continues to happen. So
it would be an interesting bag experiment.
Let's do it. What is it?
This is what, didn't I have like a goofy one last week? I did. I had like the Yankee swap of golf.
Yeah, the Justin Rose Yankee
this
swap.
Week's crazy. What if, like, we said, all right, whatever the number one driver on the PGA Tour is, I'm going to play that. Whatever the number one 3-wood, 5-wood, whatever the most played is throughout the bag, that's going in my bag, and let's just see how we do. With the exception of irons, because there's no way. Like, maybe you can get away with it. It's probably it's T100, right? So
yeah, it's going to be T100, which
so maybe I get to stick with my 350s as kind of a small loophole extension there, but it's still a title.
I think you go play. That would be interesting. just to see like most played versus best fit for you. What's the difference? Like if you went and play 10 rounds with your ideal setup based on your data, what you want, and then go play 10 rounds with PGA Tour, not necessarily that flex, but like, again, customized for you, but the club head itself for that category, and see what the difference is. I don't know. Could be kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, I'd need some new fairway woods. That's probably all I need, honestly.
Maybe putter.
A new putter. It needs new fairway woods, new putter.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Anyway. This is stupid equipment suggestion of the week. Just go whatever the number one on tour is. That's what you need.
Tell us what you think about that idea. I love it. We'll be back next week. We'll chat more. Hope you enjoy everything that there is in this world this week, particularly Valentine's Day. Make sure you get somebody some chocolate hearts. If you can't think anybody, let me know.
Callaway's heart golf balls, right? Chrome soft hearts.
Not as good as the cats. Till we out.